What is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. We're here for the sprint race in Spielberg, round 6, which is essentially nearly over halfway through the season, so we're getting there. Not too far long to go, past the halfway point after this race, and it's going to be another wet one here, very similar to the sprint race we had in France. Hopefully not as bad. If you did miss that somehow, then do go check it out. It was thunderstorms in Paul Ricard. It was insane trying to keep the car on the track, as well as the AI. The AI definitely struggled in that regard. One Manuel Correa shaking his hand of his engineer. The Dam's engineers at the back of the grid, no umbrella, and that bloke there is incredibly pale, very, very pale. But you see on the formation lap, all the cars are on the soft compound tyres. There are a few drivers at the back who are on the ultra softs, but we'll have to see how that goes. We go through Hubert. Not quite sure what Hubert is doing. He's going incredibly slow, so we just decide to pop on inside of him, as we have King, our arch nemesis in P6. Jordan King is definitely not somebody I'm going to hire in my team at any point, but nonetheless, we are starting to form up on the grid. Jack Aitken ahead of us, our teammate Mick Schumacher. Can see Guan Yu Zhou in P4. Can't quite see any other cars ahead. I can see Luca Giotto, I believe, at the very front, but the rest of the field is pulled in, and we are ready to get underway here for, well, the Styrian Grand Prix perhaps, here in Austria. But we're ready for the 5 lights to go out any second now and get this sprint race underway. And we are off. It looked like Hubert jumped the start there. He got a fantastic start. Ourselves, not so much. You can see we've been swallowed up by Nikita Mazepin. There goes Nick De Vries, and we swallowed up potentially by Nobuharu Matsushita, and we managed to get P11 off the start, and there goes Raghunathan. He's absolutely clonked us on our front left, put us a little bit backwards. Boccolacci's going to have a look at us. He gets past us for the braking zone, so we've had a nightmare of a start. When I maybe look at the inside here of a few drivers, Ralph Boschung has absolutely sent it out of nowhere, and he's spun his car at the hairpin, so he's now facing backwards. We're in P12 still, and we got a safety car because Ralph just absolutely sent it on the inside of everybody, and ended up facing the wrong way. We have a look at replay and see exactly what happened. So he's behind us here. He seems us to go for a lunge. He's not, you know what, mate, I'm going to do one better. Loses the car completely, all over the road, and then next thing you know, he's in the grass. You can see, so he just brakes there, and he's like a little snake. He just can't slow the car down in these conditions. Cold tyres perhaps. So just the way he just wiggles all the way into the braking zone and eventually hits the ART. Might have been Mazepin who he hit, but nonetheless, we are obviously continuing on. We've got a Renault who has stopped, so it looks like Guan Yu Zhou has stopped on the restart lap, so that's not good for him. But we're going to get underway. Hope to try and keep up to the back of Matsushita and maybe try and get actually back in the points. So obviously we're now up into P9. A few cars pit, including our teammate. Our teammate was on ultra softs, so we're now up a few positions, and unfortunately at the expense of our teammate Mick Schumacher. But coming through into turn 1, still a little bit slippy, still trying to find some grip. We didn't even have a race lap. We've had essentially 4 laps behind the safety car, so that's a bit outrageous, as we don't quite get S run on Matsushita. We've got Raghunathan in P10 still, just behind us. So unfortunately for him, he's going to get no points. We send it down the inside of the Carlin driver, and that's us up into P8. So we're in the points, which is definitely a lot better than we did in France and Spain subsequently. But you can see we're a little bit slippery on the curbs there as we close up to the back of Nick De Vries coming into the final corner. I might have a good run on him down into turn 1. I'm sensing deja vu here. I'm sure I've done this before to De Vries, possibly back in the day when I did the F2 career mode, or in that case GP2. We're going to look around the outside of Nick De Vries going into turn 1 on the curb. He managed to get the car round and through past the ART driver. We've got his teammate just ahead of us, so we're in a bit of an ART sandwich at this point. We've got Jordan King still P5. We're going to keep an eye on him, and we've got to try and make sure we don't actually give away any slipstream to the cars behind us. But we're going to make it move up into the final few corners. Mazepin does move to the right hand side, so that move is not going to be too difficult. King also goes into the pits. Aitken stays out with ourselves. I believe Luca Giotto stays out as well. So the cars in the pit lane kind of in a bit of trouble here. Calderon also peeled into the pit lane, so she was looking good for a podium, but she's obviously gone in. No reason as to why. I guess they just didn't fancy it on their tyres. Definitely knows something with the AI, especially in Hungary. You'll see what happens there. The AI just decide to do a complete madness. But we're cruising up to the back of Jake Aitken coming into turn 1, dive it down the inside, get the job done before the apex, and we move up into P2. 3.4 seconds off of Luca Giotto. We could do the double here. We're in a very good position. We've got about 5 laps to go. If we can do that, that'd be mega. Coming, you know, not expecting it after the safety car, and having effectively 10 laps, and we've just blown any chance of that happening. We go in so incredibly deep into turn 3, and we almost lose the back end again there halfway down the straight. In about 4th gear, we're still losing the back end, which is giving Jack Aitken a fantastic run coming into turn 4. We're going to hold the inside line, give him a bit of a squeeze as we try and make the apex in one piece, and not give away any more free time to Jack Aitken. We lost some time to Gio, about a second, give or take. We'll come across the line and see what kind of lap time we do. You can see we lost 7/10 that lap, and Mick is in the pit lane again. So he's made 2 stops in this race. Now, in F2, you don't make a stop in the sprint race. He's made 2. That's absolutely insane. We've got another car off just in the distance. It looks like it could be a Carlin, and in fact it is. So that's another Carlin, which is down in the gutter. Not a very good day for them, to say the least. But we're going to come across the line. The gap's still 4 seconds, so Guido's got some pace here. We're really struggling, you know, get onto the back of him. We've had a bit of a better lap this time. We're going to set a personal best and a overall best in the final sector. So we've started to find some grip. I think it's drying up a little bit, but the laps are, we're running out of laps. To be quite frank, you can see we're catching up to Guido bit by bit, 2.8 seconds as he crosses the line, sets the fastest lap. We smashed that fastest lap on the final lap with 2.7 seconds to go. It would be a mighty ask, wouldn't it, to pass Giotto on the final lap with such a massive margin he has us in his pocket realistically. But we're going to fast forward to the end of the lap. You see we're purple sector 1, and we've chopped the gap down to 2 seconds, 1.8. It's closing ever so fast, 1.6. Nearly into the 1.5 seconds. So we're purple through sector 2, all over the curves, 1.4. It's slowly closing. We don't quite have scenario 7, unfortunately for ourselves. We lost a bit of time through there, but that's not really important. To come through into the final corner, coming through turn 10, and Giotto's got this pretty done. It's going to be less than a second as we cross the line. Giotto managing to hold off our late charge at the end on these tyres as it started to dry up. But overall, not a bad weekend. Obviously getting the win as well as the fastest lap in the feature race. Sergio Sette Camara does get the driver of the day. I'm not entirely sure where he finished, but Uni Virtuosi very happy getting, I believe, their first race win of the season. I think their best was a podium from Luca Giotto back in the Bahrain sprint race. So very good result there for Uni Virtuosi. They've been struggling quite a bit this season. It's good to see them up there. Arav in the background, repping the Uni Virtuosi. Looks like Michael Arteta as well on the right hand side, but we'll brush over that. We always stand on the podium here in Austria. 2 podiums. Can't quite be disappointed with that. Aitken with another podium. Aitken's he's got the second most amount of podiums in the season so far, obviously just behind ourselves, and ironically ahead of Callum Eilert. So Callum Eilert's actually done bits, given the fact that it's only 3rd places. But nonetheless, that's been it for Austria. A pretty successful weekend, I would say, as we move on to our home weekend, the British Grand Prix. But that's been it for the video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, do slap a like on it. If you're new on there, please do subscribe for more Formula 1 content. And as we start to close out the back end of the season of this F2, then obviously we move up to F1, you know, if we can get a seat. But I think given our performances, we can. But that's been it for me, guys. Again, I'll see you in the next video, and until then, guys, bye bye.